2 of bow construction. Holden?
Well, yesterday I started with just this yellow sort of braided nylon string, and I attached rubber bands just to kind of test it. And I have the steel here. I had this before, but I just didn't have it with me. There's a handle here with a chunk of wood and all wrapped up in duct tape and the sheet metal, which makes my my projectile thing, so I don't have to shoot it off my hand. Then I have this here, which is a sort of a balance thing, because when I hold it, it tends to lean back like this, but this keeps that from happening. It also kind of adds some weight to the thing and helps me keep it steady when I'm shooting. Still need to put something here to make sure this doesn't slide down here when I shoot. And I also got some surgical tubing to replace the rubber bands, because these don't really have any power behind them when I connect them, but this should. And then I also braided another piece of nylon, which I'm going to put around the tips here and use that to actually string the bow, so this way I don't have to move this up and down a whole bunch of times and wear it down and have it lose a bunch of power.
How did you bend that rebar?
Well, there's a couple of aspen trees in our front yard, and they're both split, so I took one of them and a long pipe and I just bent it.
And how did you get it bent the same degree on each end?
I have a lot of experience with angles and bow building.
Did you just do that, just eyeball it, or
Yeah,
did you?
I just eyeballed it.
Wow. Okay, so next steps.
Well, I need to, I think I have it with me here. And I think they're in here somewhere. Here they are. But I have these little strips of metal, which I'm going to cut out, and I'm going to bend these like so, so that way I can attach them to the sides here, so that way when I string the bow, I can have something to stop them from just kind of sliding down this way. And now when I kind of release it, I dry fired it a few times with the rubber bands, and it snaps my wrists, but these should keep it from doing that. And then I also kind of need to cut a little bit of this off, maybe with the hacksaw, just so it's a little more even.
So will you cut it off so it's the same?
Yeah,
same
the same length on both of these tips, because this one's a little longer.
So is there an advantage of having a rebar bow over having a traditional?
Well, I mean, this is actually a slingshot, because a bow uses a material that actually bends, so when you draw the bow, it actually bends, and then they snap back into place and pull the string with it, and then along shoots the arrow. But in this case, I'm using this to pull out, so the bow doesn't actually bend here. But, I mean, a wooden bow is generally longer range, more accurate, more powerful. And
Are they made out of wood or are they fiberglass?
all. I mean, they still make them out of wood. There's several different ways to make them out of wood, recurves and longbows, mainly. And there's also compounds, and they make those out of composite carbon and fiberglass, but carbon's more practical, just because fiberglass can shatter, and
Like
I
a
don't know.
Corvette.
It's not quite as good.
Okay. Right, so when we pick this up again, will your bow be finished, or your slingshot be finished?
I mean, it should be. I just have to do this, cut this off, and
So when you're not at school, you're going to test it?
well, ideally, yes.
Okay. And what will you look for to decide if it was successful or not, or if you
Well,
need to?
I mean, I want it to not just kind of go 10 feet and then drop. I want it to go for maybe 40, 50 yards at a 45-degree angle at least. More is better, of course.
So is that your minimum for success?
Well, I mean, I'm going to use it no matter what, but that's my goal with it.
Okay.
And if I have to double this up to get more or draw weight, and I would do that.
So by doubling the strength of that, does it double your range?
I mean,
Is it proportionate?
I'm not a physicist, but it should be. It seems like.
How can you find that out?
Double it and test it. Or do the math.
Indeed, do the math. Okay, Holden, anything else you want to add?
Not really. I mean, it's just a.
We're going to look forward to part 3, the results.
Hopefully.
Okay. Thank you, Holden.